I stood at my daughter Rebecca's doorstep, heart racing, clutching a $200 chocolate strawberry cake, her favorite since she was a little girl. It was her 45th birthday, and I'd woken up at dawn, buzzing with excitement, picturing her face lighting up like it used to when I'd surprise her. I'd spent my last savings on that cake, hand-picked from her favorite bakery, because, for my only child, no price was too high. I knocked, grinning ear to ear, ready for hugs, laughter, maybe even a few happy tears. But when Rebecca opened the door, her face wasn't joy, it was ice. "Oh, it's you," she muttered, barely glancing at me. My heart sank, but I pushed through. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," I said, holding up the cake. Candles already set. "Your favorite, just like when you were my little girl."
Her sigh hit me like a slap.
"Mom, we need to talk," she said, her voice flat, letting me in without a hint of gratitude. We sat in her pristine living room, in the house I paid for $50,000 from my life savings, scraped together from 40 years of double shifts as a nurse. I thought she'd be thrilled to see me, but her eyes were cold, distant, like I was a stranger. "I've been thinking about my birthday," she started, her tone sharp, "about what I really want." I leaned forward, eager. "Anything, honey? A trip? That necklace you loved? A new car?" Her gaze locked onto mine, and what I saw froze my blood. Pure, unfiltered disdain. "The one thing I want most," she said, each word dripping with venom, "is for you to just die." The world stopped. My chest tightened, like someone had ripped my heart out and stomped on it. My daughter, my Rebecca, wished me dead.
"What?"
I whispered, tears burning my eyes. "You heard me," she snapped, her voice ablade. "I'm done with you, Mom. Done with your clingy calls, your unannounced visits, your constant neediness. My life would be so much better if you just vanished." My hands shook, the $200 cake trembling in my lap. I was 72 years old, 45 of them spent pouring my soul into her, and this was my reward? "Rebecca," I choked out, "I'm your mother. I gave you everything, my savings, my time, my entire life." She stood, towering over me.
"Exactly.
"And it's suffocating.
You're suffocating me."
I need you gone so I can finally breathe."
The room spun.
That cake, those candles, the dreams I had of a cozy birthday dinner, it all crumbled. I tried one last time. "I just want to be part of your life, honey. You're all I have." She crossed her arms, unmoved. "That's the problem. You have no life of your own. Get one, and leave me alone." I stumbled to my feet, legs like jelly, the cake now a cruel joke in my hands. "After everything I've done for you," I murmured, voice breaking. She laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Everything you've done was for you, Mom. To feel needed. To control me. I'm not your little girl anymore." I shuffled to the door, each step heavier than the last. I turned, desperate for a flicker of the daughter I raised, the one who'd hug me and call me her hero. But all I saw was impatience, like I was a pest she couldn't wait to shoo away. "Happy birthday, Rebecca," I whispered, closing the door behind me. That was the last time I stepped into the house I'd paid for, the last time I saw the daughter I'd given my life to. Back in my tiny apartment, I tossed the $200 cake in the trash, its melted candles mocking my tears. I sank onto my old couch, the same one where I'd rocked baby Rebecca to sleep, read her bedtime stories, celebrated every milestone. How did it come to this? I replayed every sacrifice. When she was 3, pneumonia nearly took her, and I sold my late mother's jewelry to cover $1,200 in antibiotics. At 16, she wanted that $800 prom dress, and I worked weekends for months, exhausted but thrilled to see her eyes sparkle. "You're the best, Mom," she'd said, hugging me tight. In college, I paid $42,000 for her to chase her dreams, switching majors 3 times without a single complaint. All those years, all that love, erased by her cold, cruel words. But as I sat there, something shifted. Her betrayal lit a fire in me, one I hadn't felt in decades. Rebecca thought she'd broken me, but she didn't know the strength I'd buried to raise her. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of something she'd never see coming. Every penny I ever earned, every dream I ever had, I poured into Rebecca. When she called me in tears during college, stressed about tuition, I'd say, "Don't worry, honey. Your future comes first." I took out a second mortgage on my house, $42,000, to keep her in school, no questions asked. When she married David, I didn't just throw her a wedding. I gave her a fairy tale. A $35,000 ballroom extravaganza with cascading flowers, a gourmet menu she picked without a glance at the cost. My princess deserves the world, I told her, signing check after check, my heart swelling with pride. And when they wanted their dream home, the very house where she shattered my soul, I handed over $150,000 from my retirement savings for the down payment. No hesitation. That's what a mother does, right? It didn't stop there. When the twins were born 5 years ago, I became their free nanny. Every date night, every weekend getaway, every time Rebecca and David needed to live their lives, I was there, rocking babies, wiping tears, never asking for a dime. When David lost his job last year, who kept their dream house from foreclosure?
Me.
8 months of mortgage payments, $16,000 for my pension, while I survived on rice and beans to make ends meet. And when the twins needed braces, another $4,000 straight from my pocket. That's what grandparents do, I'd say, brushing off their worried faces. I stumbled to my desk that night, tears blurring my vision, and pulled out boxes stuffed with receipts, proof of every sacrifice. I started adding it up. Raising Rebecca from birth, $200,000. College, $42,000. Her wedding, $35,000. The house down payment, $150,000. Mortgage payments, $16,000. Braces, $4,000. Decades of birthday and Christmas gifts, at least $10,000 more. The total? A gut-punching $457,000. Nearly $500,000 poured into my daughter's happiness. If I'd saved that money, with interest, I'd have over $600,000 today. A cozy home, world travels, a retirement where I didn't count pennies in this cramped apartment. Instead, I bet everything on love, believing my daughter would cherish me as I grew old. What did I get? Her cold, cruel wish. I want you to die. The words burned in my chest. I grabbed my phone, hands trembling, and dialed Rebecca. I had to know if she meant it. After 5 rings, she picked up, her voice dripping with irritation. "What now, Mom?" I swallowed hard. "Did you mean it, Rebecca? That you want me gone?" Her reply was a knife to my heart. "Yes, Mom. I meant every word. You're obsessed with me, and it's not healthy. I need space. Respect my boundaries and let me live." "Obsessed?" I gasped. "You call a mother's love obsession?" She didn't flinch. "Yes. And I hope you finally get it." The line went dead. No goodbye. No remorse. Just silence. I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, haunted by memories of her childhood laughter, her "I love you, Mom" hugs. Had it all been a lie? Or had I raised a daughter so selfish she couldn't see past her own wants? By 3 a.m., the grief in my heart hardened into something else: rage. Indignation. Clarity. I'd been used, manipulated, discarded like trash. Rebecca wanted me gone? Fine. But I wasn't going to fade away quietly. The next morning, I woke with a fire in my gut I hadn't felt in years. I dressed in my sharpest outfit, my hands steady, my mind razor-sharp. First stop, the bank. I marched in to close the joint account I'd set up for Rebecca's emergency. House expenses, $20,000 I deposited for her safety net. "Good morning, Mrs. Johnson," the manager greeted, surprised. "How can I help you?" I smiled, but it wasn't kindness, it was resolve. "I'm closing account 45872,891. Transfer every cent to my personal account." He blinked, checking his screen. "That's $20,000. Are you sure?" "Absolutely. I said, signing the papers with a steady hand. Watching that money flow back to me felt like reclaiming a piece of my soul. Next, the mortgage office. When David was unemployed, I'd co-signed their loan, tying my name to their dream home. That meant I was on the hook if they missed payments, but it also gave me power. "Mrs. Johnson," the loan officer said, pulling out a thick folder. "You're here about the mortgage?" I nodded. "I need to know my rights as co-signer." As she explained, memories flooded back. Rebecca's tearful hug when I signed those papers, calling me her savior. Now, those words felt like poison. "As co-signer," the officer said, "you're liable for payments, but you can also reclaim the property if the primary borrower's default." I leaned forward, a plan forming. "Tell me more." Rebecca thought she could erase me, but she'd forgotten who I was. The mother who'd given everything wasn't going down without a fight. She wanted me dead? I'd show her what it really meant to disappear, on my terms. I sat across from the loan officer, poring over the mortgage papers, my heart pounding with a mix of pain and purpose. "Is there an issue with the payments?" she asked, her voice tinged with professional concern. "Just evaluating my options," I said coolly, tucking a copy of the documents into my bag. "What happens if I exercise my rights as co-signer?" She leaned forward, explaining, "You'd need to show a risk of default or significant payment delays. Given you covered 8 months last year, $16,000, that's already evidence the primary borrowers lack financial stability." A smile crept across my face. Rebecca had let it slip last week that David lost his job again. She thought she was hinting for more help, but she'd just handed me the key to her undoing. I left the office, my mind buzzing. My daughter had no idea the storm I was about to unleash. Next up, my lawyer, Anil Adams, a 70-year-old friend of my late husband who'd seen every sacrifice I made for Rebecca over the decades. "Julieta, what brings you here?" he asked, his warm smile fading as I poured out the truth. Her birthday wish for my death, her cold contempt, the way she discarded me after I'd given her everything. His face darkened with every word. "I never thought Rebecca could do this," he said, shaking his head. "After all you've done, $150,000 for her house, $35,000 for her wedding, $42,000 for college." I cut in, my voice steady. "I'm done, Anil. I want to change my will. Everything goes to the Orphans Foundation, where I volunteered for years. Set up a trust for my grandkids, but Rebecca can't touch it until they're 25. And my $100,000 life insurance? Her name comes off it. She wants me dead? She gets nothing." Anil's pen flew across his notepad as we spent 2 hours rewriting my legacy. My savings, my apartment, my investments, everything once meant for Rebecca now redirected to a cause that deserved it. Then I leaned forward. "One more thing. I want to reclaim the house. As co-signer, I have rights, and David's unemployed again." Anil's eyes gleamed with understanding. "You're playing hardball, Julieta. Are you sure?" I nodded, a fire in my chest. She said her life would be easier without me. I'm going to show her exactly what that looks like. Leaving his office, I felt alive for the first time in years, as if I'd shed the weight of 45 years of blind devotion. I'd lived for Rebecca, sacrificed my dreams, my security, my future, only to be told I was a burden. No more. At home, I poured a glass of wine, a rare indulgence, and raised it to myself. To me, I thought, savoring the taste of freedom. Then I dialed a number I'd saved months ago but never dared to call, a travel agency for retirees. "Good evening, this is Julieta Johnson," I said, my voice clear. "I want to know everything about starting a new life in Switzerland." The agent's enthusiasm poured through the phone. Temporary stays, permanent residency, a fresh start in a place where mountains kiss the sky. "Everything," I told her. "I'm 72, and I'm ready to live for me." As I hung up, I stood at my apartment window, staring at the city I'd spent my life in. Soon it would be a memory. Rebecca wanted me gone? I'd grant her wish, but not the way she expected. She'd learn what life was like without the mother she took for granted, and it was going to hit her like a freight train. Days later, my phone rang. Rebecca's name flashed on the screen, and for a fleeting moment, I hoped she'd come to her senses, that she'd beg for forgiveness. Foolish me. Mom, she snapped, skipping any greeting. I need a favor. No apology, no warmth, just her usual demands. The twins have a school presentation Friday, and David and I have a work dinner. Can you watch them? The audacity burned. The woman who wished me dead now wanted me to play babysitter like nothing had happened. I let the silence hang, then said calmly, "No, Rebecca, I can't." Her shock was palpable. "What do you mean you can't?" she demanded, as if my refusal was unthinkable. "I have plans," I said, my voice like steel. "Plans," she scoffed. "What plans could you have?" I smiled to myself, picturing the life I was about to build, one she'd never be part of. "You'll see," I said, and hung up. For the first time in decades, I wasn't her doormat. I was Julieta Johnson, and I was just getting started. "What plans could you possibly have?" Rebecca's voice dripped with condescension, as if my 72 years on this earth stripped me of the right to a life of my own. Her words cut deep, but I held my ground. "Plans that don't concern you," I said, my voice calm but sharp. "Find another sitter." Her shock was audible. "Mom, you're seriously saying no? Since when do you charge to watch your own grandkids?" There it was, the manipulation she'd wielded for years, guilting me into bending to her every whim. "Not this time. Since you wish me dead as your birthday gift," I shot back, ice in my tone. "You want me gone? I'm starting now." Silence stretched across the line. Then a sarcastic laugh. "Really, Mom? You're throwing a tantrum like a child? I thought you'd be over this drama by now." "It's not drama, Rebecca," I said. "It's respect for your wish. You wanted me out of your life. Consider it done."
"Fine," she snapped.
"Be childish. But don't come crying when you're alone." She hung up, no goodbye, no remorse. Every word cemented my resolve. She'd pushed me too far, and now she'd face the consequences. That afternoon, I marched to the bank, my heart steady with purpose. I withdrew $30,000 of my savings in cash, stuffing it into an envelope for my new life in Switzerland. Then I called the travel agency and confirmed my flight to Zurich for Tuesday, $5,000 for a one-way ticket and the promise of a fresh start. It wasn't just money, it was freedom, the smartest investment I'd made in decades. Thursday morning brought an unexpected visitor. Elvira, my 68-year-old neighbor and confidant of 5 years. She'd watched me drop everything for Rebecca, canceling our coffee dates to babysit, buying groceries for her family, while I ate canned soup to save a dime. "Julieta, you seem different," she said, sipping coffee in my living room. "What's going on?" I spilled everything. The cruelty of Rebecca's birthday wish, the plans I'd set in motion. Her eyes welled up. "My God, Julieta. After all you've done, $150,000 for her house, $35,000 for her wedding, $16,000 to save them from foreclosure. How could she say that?" "The worst part," I said, "is how she said it like I'm nothing but a nuisance." Elvira's face softened. "And Switzerland? You're really going?" I nodded. "Tickets booked. But there's more." I lowered my voice, sharing my boldest plan yet. I wanted Rebecca to believe I died, at least for a while. Elvira would be my accomplice, discovering my empty apartment and a letter that would shake Rebecca to her core. A mischievous grin spread across Elvira's face. "That ungrateful girl needs a wake-up call. This is brilliant. Will you help me?" I asked. "Absolutely," she said, squeezing my hand. "She'll learn what it means to lose you." That night, I poured my soul into the most important letter I'd ever write. "My dear Rebecca," it began, "you wish for me to disappear as your birthday gift, and I'm granting it. By the time you read this, I'll be far away, living the life I should have had instead of sacrificing everything for you." For hours, I detailed every penny I'd spent, $457, 000 over 45 years, from her college tuition to her dream wedding, her house, her children's braces. Every missed opportunity, every dream I'd buried to lift her up. But this wasn't a bitter rant. It was a reckoning. Enclosed are the documents I've signed. I wrote. My will, now leaving everything to the Orphans Foundation. Your health insurance canceled. The mortgage I co-signed? I'm exercising my rights, given David's unemployment. Every financial lifeline you took for granted? Gone. The letter stretched 23 pages, a meticulous catalog of her betrayal and my liberation. You said life would be easier without me. I concluded. Let's see how easy it is when you pay for it yourself. I hope it's worth it. Friday night, as I packed 2 suitcases with my essentials, my phone buzzed. Rebecca. 3 calls, one after another. I let them ring, her name flashing like a ghost I was ready to leave behind. I had nothing left to say. Saturday morning, a knock at my door startled me. It was David, eyes sunken, desperation etched into his face. He looked like a man who'd just realized the ground beneath him was crumbling. Julieta, David pleaded, his voice cracking as he stood on my doorstep, eyes wide with desperation. Rebecca told me everything, what she said on her birthday. I know it was wrong, horribly wrong, but please don't tear our family apart like this. Don't stop helping us. Don't just vanish from our lives. The kids need you. We need you. I tilted my head, feigning innocence. Do what, David? Pull away? Disappear? That's rich. When Rebecca wished me dead, I was a suffocating burden, a nuisance she couldn't wait to erase. But now that you're realizing how much I've propped you up, $457,000 in sacrifices, from your house to the twins' braces, suddenly I'm indispensable? He shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. David, I said evenly, your wife made it crystal clear. My presence is a weight she refuses to carry anymore. I'm simply honoring her request. But Julieta, he begged, you know how Rebecca gets when she's angry. She didn't mean it. Oh, really? I shot back. Because when she looked me in the eye and said her dream birthday gift was my death, she sounded pretty damn convincing. David's shoulders slumped, defeated. He had no defense for her cruelty. Please, he whispered, give me a chance to fix this. I'll talk to her, make her see how wrong she is. It's too late for apologies, I replied, my hand already on the door. Give the grandkids a kiss for me. I closed it softly, the click echoing like the end of an era. For the first time, I wasn't the one begging. Sunday marked my final day in the city that had defined me. I wandered the streets like a ghost saying goodbye, my heart a mix of ache and release. The hospital where I'd slaved 40 years as a nurse, double shifts to fund Rebecca's dreams. The park where I'd pushed her on swings as a toddler, her laughter my world. The church where I'd married her father, vowing a life of love and sacrifice. Each step was a quiet farewell to an existence built around others, my daughter's needs, her family's crises. Tomorrow, Monday, I'd step into a chapter written for me, unapologetically. That night, sleep evaded me, not from fear or doubt, but from a thrill I hadn't felt since my youth. Excitement. At 72, I was on the cusp of the adventure I'd always dreamed of, but never claimed. Freedom tasted like the air before a storm. At 5 a.m. Monday, Elvira knocked as planned, her arms full of fresh coffee and a conspiratorial grin that sparked my own energy. Ready for your grand escape, Julieta? She teased, winking. More than ready, I said, wheeling my 2 suitcases to the door. Got the spare keys? She dangled them with a nod. And the letter for Rebecca, plus all the legal docs, they're sealed and ready. We'd orchestrated it perfectly. Elvira would wait until Wednesday to discover my empty apartment, feigning panic to deliver the bombshell to Rebecca. She'd tell her I hadn't answered calls for 2 days, that knocking yielded silence, and using the emergency keys revealed an abandoned home with that devastating 23-page letter on the table. Act worried, I reminded her as we hailed a cab. Very worried. Elvira chuckled. Darling, I taught drama for 30 years. This will be my Oscar-worthy performance. She'll shatter when I break the news that you're gone forever. The cab pulled up at 6 a.m. sharp. As my suitcases were loaded, I glanced back at the apartment I'd called home for 15 years. No tears, no nostalgia, just a profound sense of liberation. It had been my self-made cage, built brick by brick for Rebecca's sake.
To the airport?
The driver asked. To the airport, I confirmed, sinking into the seat. Those words felt like a declaration of war on my old life. The 40-minute drive was a whirlwind of reflection. I left behind the volunteer shifts at the hospital, the endless routines, the knot of anxiety over Rebecca's endless crises. But ahead? Pure possibility. Choices that were mine alone, money spent on joys for me, a life unburdened by her emotional black holes. At the airport, my phone buzzed, 3 missed calls from Rebecca, then a text. Mom, this is ridiculous. The kids are asking for you. Call me back. I deleted it without a second thought. How ironic, now that I wasn't her on-call savior. She suddenly cared. Let her stew. The flight to Zurich stretched 12 hours, but it was the most serene journey of my life. No one knew my whereabouts. No demands for favors, funds, or time. Just me, the hum of the engines, and an intoxicating rush of independence, the kind I hadn't savored since before motherhood swallowed me whole. I pulled out my journal, scribbling every raw detail of the past week. The birthday betrayal, the surge of rage, the decisions that set me free. Even from a toxic bond with your own flesh and blood, escape was possible. I needed to etch this feeling into eternity. I touched down in Zurich Tuesday night, the crisp air a promise of renewal. A young agent from the travel agency waited with a sign bearing my name, Klaus, polite and beaming. Mrs. Johnson, he said warmly, welcome to Switzerland. Ready for your new adventure? More than ready, I replied, my smile genuine for the first time in weeks. He whisked me to a charming furnished apartment in Zurich's heart, compact yet inviting, with windows framing a lush park and glimpses of the shimmering lake. Here's everything you'll need, Klaus said, handing over a hefty folder. Dining spots, activities for folks your age, German lessons, social clubs. I've booked a financial advisor for tomorrow to handle residency paperwork if you decide to stay. That night, I slept like a newborn, deeper than I had in decades. No ringing phone, no pleas for help, no obligations beyond my own well-being. For the first time, I was truly alone and utterly content. But back home, the real drama was just unfolding. Rebecca had no idea the letter waiting for her would unravel her world. I woke Wednesday morning in Zurich, the crisp alpine air filling my lungs with a freedom I hadn't tasted in decades. I wandered to a charming lakeside cafe, savoring a buttery croissant and strong coffee, then bought a bouquet of fresh lilies for my temporary apartment. On a whim, I spotted a silk scarf in a boutique window, vibrant, luxurious, $100. I bought it, not because I needed it, but because it sparked joy in me. No guilt, no second-guessing if that money could have gone to Rebecca's endless needs. For the first time, my wallet served my heart. As I strolled Zurich's cobblestone streets, my mind tallied the cost of my daughter's life over the past 5 years alone. $16,000 for her mortgage when David was jobless, $4,000 for the twins' braces, countless gifts, gas for babysitting runs, groceries I brought to her house while I scraped by on canned soup. At least $50,000 gone. Money that could have funded this very trip, a cozy retirement, dreams I'd shelved to keep her afloat. All for a daughter who called my love a burden, my existence a nuisance. By 2 p.m. Zurich time, I knew it was 8 a.m. back home. Elvira would be gearing up to deliver my letter to Rebecca, the 23-page bombshell that would unravel her world. I settled on a bench by Lake Zurich, the water glinting under the autumn sun, and waited. I pictured Rebecca's face as Elvira played her part, feigning panic. Julietta's gone. Her apartment's empty. Just this letter on the table. Soon, my phone would erupt with Rebecca's desperation. She'd finally grasp what it meant to lose me. At 5 p.m., my phone buzzed. Rebecca's name flashed. I let it ring out. It buzzed again, her, of course. This time, I answered, my voice cool as the Swiss breeze. Hello, Rebecca. Mom, she screamed, her voice splintering with panic. Where are you? Elvira showed up with some letter, saying you've disappeared. What's going on? Did you read it? I asked, gazing at the lake's serene ripples. Yes, I read it. Are you insane? How could you do this to us? I'm where I need to be, I said calmly. Far away, just like you wanted. I didn't mean for you to leave, she cried. I was angry, okay? David lost his job again. The kids are acting out. I'm drowning in stress. I didn't mean it. There it was, her classic move, downplaying her cruelty, twisting the blame onto me. You didn't mean it when you said your dream birthday gift was my death? I asked, my tone sharp, because you sounded deadly serious. Mom, please, she begged. Come back. We need you. I need you. I laughed softly, a bitter edge to it. How convenient. Now that she'd read the letter, detailing the canceled health insurance, the revoked will, my rights to reclaim her house as co-signer, she suddenly needed me. Do you need me, Rebecca, or my money? Silence. Then, a weak murmur. I need you. It rang hollow, like a line rehearsed but not felt. For 45 years, I lived for you, I said, my voice steady. I gave up my dreams, my savings, my time, $457,000 worth of sacrifices. When I needed just a shred of love, you wished me dead. Those words broke something in me, Rebecca, something you can't fix. I'm sorry, Mom, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't erase the damage, I said. But it did wake me up. For the first time, I'm living for me, and it feels incredible. Where are you? She pleaded, her voice thick with tears. The kids miss their grandma. They don't understand why you're gone. I smirked, picturing the Swiss mountains in the distance. Oh, now the grandkids missed me? For years, I dropped everything to babysit, bought them lavish gifts, took them to parks while Rebecca shopped. It was expected, unappreciated. Now my absence stung. The kids will survive, I said. They'll learn what you should've. Words have consequences. Some wounds don't heal. Mom, please, she gasped. You can't just vanish. What if you get sick? What if something happens? I leaned back on the bench, unfazed. Funny you're worried about my health now. 3 times in 5 years I was hospitalized for high blood pressure. You never showed up. First time? You had a hair appointment. Second? David's birthday party. Third? You didn't even answer my call. Don't pretend you care now. I thought it wasn't serious, she mumbled, her voice small. It was never serious to you, I said. My checks were. My availability was. But me? I was just your safety net. It's not about the money, she screamed. I miss you. Do you? I asked. Or, do you miss the free babysitter, the emergency fund, the mother you could use and discard? I hung up before she could answer, her sobs cut off by silence. For the first time, I felt no guilt, only power. Rebecca thought she could manipulate me back into her orbit, but I was already soaring in a new sky, one she'd never touch. I silenced my phone as it buzzed again, Rebecca's name flashing like a desperate plea. I craved peace, not her chaos. That night, I treated myself to dinner at a chic lakeside restaurant in Zurich, the kind of place I'd never have dared enter before, always saving every cent for Rebecca's endless needs. I ordered a $80 salmon and caviar dish, its richness melting on my tongue, paired with a bottle of crisp French wine. Each sip felt like a rebellion against the years I'd starved my own desires to feed hers. For the first time, I indulged without guilt, savoring the luxury of living for me. Thursday morning, I powered on my phone to a flood of notifications, 47 missed calls, 23 texts, all from Rebecca and David. Their messages traced a predictable arc, from fake concern to outright panic. Please, Mom, answer. We're so worried. The first read. By the 5th. If you don't pick up, we're calling the police. The 10th admitted defeat. The police say they can't do anything since you left a letter explaining you're gone. The 15th revealed their true fear. The bank called. You closed the joint account. How are we supposed to handle emergencies? By the 20th, it was crystal clear. The mortgage lawyer says you can take our house. You're ruining us. Not one word about my pain, my heartbreak, only their crumbling empire. I typed a single reply. Now you see what I was worth to you. Too late. Their response came in minutes, frantic. You don't understand what you're doing. You're destroying our family. I smirked. Family? They only cared about the financial void my absence left. Rebecca wasn't mourning her mother. She was mourning her safety net. That afternoon, I met with Hans Meyer, a polished Swiss financial advisor who laid out my future with calm precision. With your savings and U.S. pension, he said, you can live comfortably here for life. Switzerland offers top-tier healthcare for retirees, and the quality of life is unmatched. I spoke freely about my finances, no longer hoarding every penny for Rebecca's crises. It was exhilarating to plan around my needs, my dreams. You could invest in the Swiss economy, Hans added. Stable returns could double your assets in 5 years. Double my assets. How many times had I bypassed that chance, funneling money into Rebecca's house, her wedding, her whims? You're not alone, he said kindly. Many clients come here for a fresh start after toxic family ties. His words soothed a wound I hadn't named. I wasn't the only mother discarded by ungrateful children, rebuilding from the ashes of betrayal. Friday morning, I joined a hiking group for seniors, 8 women and 4 men, ages 60 to 75, all chasing adventure. On the bus, I bonded with Ingrid, a 71-year-old German who'd moved to Switzerland 2 years ago. What brought you here? She asked, her eyes bright as we gazed at the rolling Alps. I didn't hold back. My daughter. On her 45th birthday, she said her greatest wish was for me to die. After I'd given her everything, $150,000 for her house, $35,000 for her wedding, years of free childcare. Ingrid's jaw dropped. Seriously? Dead serious, I said. She called my love a burden, my presence a nuisance. So I left. Ingrid's smile was pure admiration. You're fearless, Julieta. It took me 5 years to walk away from my toxic son and daughter-in-law. They treated me like an A-team, only calling for vacation money, new cars, their endless wants. We traded stories through a medieval village, her words cutting through my lingering guilt. The hardest part was the guilt, she admitted. I thought a good mother sacrifices everything forever. But then I realized they never asked if I was happy if I had enough. They didn't love me. They exploited me. Her truth hit like a thunderbolt. For decades, I'd mistaken Rebecca's demands for love, her manipulation for need. I wasn't her mother anymore, just her resource. That night, back in my cozy Zurich apartment, I turned on my phone for the last time in days. It exploded with 62 missed calls and 47 texts, mostly from Rebecca and David, plus a few unknown numbers. I scrolled through, watching their panic unfold. Early messages feigned concern. Mom, where are you? We're scared. Then came the truth. The bank froze our emergency fund. The lawyer says you're taking the house. How could you do this to the kids? Not one apology for her cruelty, not one acknowledgement of my pain, just terror at the life they'd have to face without my wallet. I set the phone down, the Swiss mountains glowing in the moonlight outside my window. Rebecca thought she could guilt me back. She had no idea I was already gone for good. The texts from Rebecca and David kept pouring in, each one a window into their unraveling lives. The early ones tugged at my heartstrings. Please, Mom, come back. The kids are crying for you. But by day 5, the masks were off, replaced by raw desperation. The bank's calling us for a meeting Friday. They say you can take the house. You can't do this over a misunderstanding. Then came the aggression. This is absurd, Mom. You're destroying us with your tantrum. Act like an adult. And finally, pure panic. I've called hospitals, police, your friends. No one knows where you are. If something happens to you, it's on me. Please, just say you're okay. Not once did Rebecca apologize for wishing me dead. Not once did she own the venom in her words. It was all about her crumbling world, her financial ruin. I typed one final reply. I'm happier than I've been in years. You're feeling the consequences of your actions. Maybe this will teach you to value the people you love before they're gone for good. Her response was instant, dripping with desperation. We can fix this, Mom. I swear I'll never say those awful things again. Just come back. I stared at the screen, her words hollow. Empty promises don't heal shattered hearts, Rebecca, I wrote. Your words showed me who you really are. You can't undo that truth. I sent it, then blocked her number, David's, and every unknown caller. That chapter was sealed shut. Monday morning, I met Hans Meyer again to sign papers for permanent residency in Switzerland. I also arranged to transfer my U.S. pension and list my old apartment for sale. This is a big step, Hans said, eyeing me. Are you certain? I smiled, signing with a steady hand. I've never been sure. For the first time, my choices are for me, not someone else's demands. That afternoon, Elvira called, her voice brimming with excitement. Julieta, you won't believe this. Rebecca showed up at my door yesterday, sobbing, begging me to get you to come back. She called it a misunderstanding. I laughed. What did you say? I told her the truth, Elvira said. That what she said to you was unforgivable, and if I were you, I'd have vanished too. Her face when she realized even the neighbors knew her cruelty? Priceless. Did she mention the money? I asked. Oh, absolutely, Elvira said. She's panicking. Can't pay the mortgage, the bank's breathing down their necks, David's jobless again, and the kids need school supplies they can't afford. She only sees what you did for them now that it's gone. I nodded, unsurprised. She doesn't miss me. She misses her free ride. Exactly, Elvira said. When anyone asks, I'll tell them you're dead to her, because the Julieta who lived for that ungrateful daughter. She died on Rebecca's birthday. Best death I could have chosen, I said, grinning. 3 weeks in Switzerland, and my new life bloomed in ways I'd never dared dream. I enrolled in German classes 3 days a week, joined a watercolor painting course on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and signed up for a Sunday expat book club. My calendar overflowed with choices I made, for joy, for growth, for me. Without Rebecca's endless demands, my savings didn't just hold steady, they grew. Hans's investments were already yielding returns, and I could plan my future without her shadow draining me dry. That Thursday, as I sipped coffee at my favorite lakeside cafe, my phone rang, an unknown international number. I hesitated, but answered. Mrs. Julieta Johnson? A woman with an American accent asked. Yes, who's this? Sarah Williams, Family Services in your hometown. We received a complaint about your well-being. My stomach twisted. A complaint? Your daughter, Rebecca, claims you may have dementia or cognitive decline and that you've made reckless financial and life decisions, living in precarious conditions abroad. I gripped the phone, fury rising. Rebecca wasn't just desperate. She was vicious, fabricating lies to undermine my freedom and drag me back to her control. Miss Williams, I said, voice firm. I'm in Switzerland by choice, living comfortably with excellent health care. I'm in perfect mental health. My daughter's claims are baseless. We need to verify, she said. Can we arrange a medical and psychological evaluation via the American consulate? Absolutely, I said. I'll prove my decisions are lucid. After hanging up, I called Anil, my lawyer. Julieta, I'm glad you called, he said, voice tense. Rebecca's been busy. She's hired a lawyer to challenge your will, the account closures, everything, claiming you weren't in your right mind. Can she do that? I asked. She can try, Anil said. But she has no case. I have recordings of our talks, proving your clarity. Your planned departure and stable life in Switzerland destroy her narrative. She's also tried accessing your accounts, citing concern, and wants to halt the house reclamation. But her own signature on documents admitting David's unemployment kills her argument. I shook my head, stunned by her audacity. Ann'll file a defamation lawsuit against her. These lies about my mental state could ruin my reputation and rights. With pleasure, he said, a hint of relish in his voice. She'll face the consequences of her actions. 2 days later, I arrived at the American consulate in Zurich for the evaluations. The doctor, a seasoned professional, saw through Rebecca's ploy within minutes. After a rigorous 3-hour exam, he leaned back. "Mrs. Johnson, you're in exceptional health, physically and mentally. There's no basis for your daughter's claims. This smells like a desperate attempt to control you." I smiled, vindicated. Rebecca thought she could cage me again.
She had no idea who she was dealing with now.
The doctor's words rang in my ears. "Mrs. Johnson, you're in perfect mental health. Your decisions show remarkable clarity and courage. Your daughter's accusations are a blatant attempt to manipulate the legal system for financial gain." He promised a detailed report to social services, documenting Rebecca's baseless claims. That afternoon, Sarah Williams, the social worker, called. "We've received the consulate's report," she said. "It's clear Rebecca's allegations are unfounded. We're closing the case and noting her false complaint, which could have legal consequences if she tries this again." I thanked her, a quiet thrill coursing through me. Rebecca's scheme had backfired, branding her as a liar in official records. She'd crossed a line, and now she'd pay for it. That night, I poured my heart into a new project, an open letter, not for Rebecca, but for mothers trapped in the same cycle of manipulation and emotional abuse. For 4 hours, I wrote, detailing every sacrifice, $457,000 poured into Rebecca's life, every betrayal, and every step I took to reclaim my dignity. The 20-page letter, titled "When a Mother's Love Becomes Self-Destruction, My Liberation at 72, was raw and unflinching. I sent it to an online blog for women reinventing their lives. A week later, the editor's response lit up my inbox. "Julieta, your story is a gut punch of inspiration. Hundreds of women are sharing how it mirrors their own pain. Will you do a video interview for our YouTube channel?" I said yes, without hesitation. My story could free others from toxic family ties. The interview, posted 2 weeks later, exploded online. Thousands of comments flooded in from women whose adult children treated them as ATMs or emotional punching bags. "My son lives rent-free in my house and screams when I ask him to work," one wrote. "My daughter only calls for vacation money, never when I'm sick," another shared. "I thought I was alone," a third confessed. Their words wrapped around me like a sisterhood of survivors, validating every choice I'd made. Then came a shock. An email from David, my former son-in-law. "Julieta, I saw your interview," he wrote. Rebecca's words were unforgivable. "I've watched her manipulate and exploit you for years, and I was too weak to stop her. Too dependent on your help. The kids miss you terribly. They don't understand why you're gone. Rebecca told them you're sick, but I'll tell them the truth when they're older. I know apologies can't undo the pain, but I see now how much you sacrificed. I hope you're thriving." I read it 3 times, emotions swirling. His honesty was a flicker of validation, but it changed nothing. "David," I replied, "your words come too late. Teach your children to value love before it's gone." 6 months into my Swiss life, I was unrecognizable, vibrant, free, surrounded by friends who cherished me, not my wallet. German classes, watercolor painting, an expat book club. My days brimmed with joy and purpose. My savings, no longer drained by Rebecca, grew steadily, bolstered by Hans Meyer's investments. I wasn't just surviving. I was flourishing, with a dignity I'd thought lost forever. Then, on a perfect spring morning, Elvira called, her voice electric. "Julieta, brace yourself. Rebecca lost the house." My heart stuttered, not for her, but for my grandkids. "What happened?" I asked. "The bank foreclosed last week," she said. "David's still jobless, and they fell behind on payments. As co-signer, your legal claim triggered it. They've moved to a tiny apartment across town. David's got a low-paying factory job, and Rebecca's working again." I exhaled, a strange mix of relief and justice settling in. No joy in their struggle, but a deep satisfaction. They were finally facing the consequences of their choices, with no one to bail them out. She asked if I could reach you, Elvira continued. Says she wants to apologize, that she gets what she lost. I shook my head. What did you say? That some wounds cut too deep to heal, and you're thriving without her. I told her to leave you be. Elvira was right. Rebecca's apology was just another ploy, sparked by loss, not love. I'd built a peace too precious to risk on her empty promises. That afternoon, Anil called with more news. The bank sold Rebecca's house, he said. As co-signer, you're getting your $150,000 down payment back, plus $35,000 in interest, $185,000 total, hitting your Swiss account next week. And your old apartment sold for $95,000 after fees. I nearly laughed. Nearly $300,000, assets I'd written off, now mine again. With my savings and investments, my net worth topped $500,000. At 72, I was wealthier and freer than I'd ever been. That night, I celebrated at my favorite lakeside restaurant, toasting to the life I'd reclaimed. Rebecca thought she could break me, but I'd risen stronger, unshackled from her greed. And somewhere, deep down, I knew she was learning the cost of losing the mother she never deserved. I raised a glass of French champagne, the bubbles catching the candlelight, and toasted the woman I'd become, brave, unbroken, reborn. As I savored the meal, my mind traced the arc of my journey. 3 years ago, I'd been a shattered mother, crushed by my daughter Rebecca's cruel wish for my death on her 45th birthday. Now, at 75, I was a woman of strength, financially secure, surrounded by true friends, living the life I'd buried under decades of sacrifice. That night, I vowed to turn my pain into purpose. I'd write a book, not just my story, but a beacon for women trapped in toxic family ties. I contacted a Swiss publisher specializing in self-help and personal growth. The editor, Bridget, leaned forward in our meeting, eyes alight. Julieta, your story exposes a silent epidemic, emotional abuse by adult children. It's a truth millions of women need to hear. For 3 months, I poured my soul into When Love Hurts, freeing yourself from family emotional abuse after 70. The book wove my journey, $457,000 in sacrifices for Rebecca, her betrayal, my escape to Switzerland, with practical tools for spotting manipulation, setting boundaries, and choosing self-worth over self-destruction. Published 8 months later, it became a bestseller across Europe, sparking letters from women worldwide. Your book gave me the courage to stop funding my 35-year-old son's irresponsibility, Maria from Spain wrote. I'm not a bad mother for saying no. Carmen from Mexico shared, you taught me love shouldn't mean self-destruction. I left my toxic family behind. Rosa from Argentina added, I sold my big house for a small apartment I can afford alone. I sleep peacefully now. Each letter was a testament to the ripple effect of my story, freeing women from the same chains I'd broken. The most profound letter arrived a year after publication, from Andrea, a 30-year-old mother. Mrs. Johnson, your book showed me I was repeating Rebecca's mistakes with my own mother, who sacrificed everything for me and my siblings. I called her, apologized for taking her for granted, and vowed to support her dreams, not just demand she serve mine. Thank you for saving our bond before it was too late. Tears streamed down my face. My pain had spared another family the wreckage I'd endured. 2 years into my Swiss life, a letter arrived in my mailbox, the handwriting achingly familiar. My heart stopped as I opened it. It was from my 12-year-old grandchildren. Dear Grandma Julieta, they wrote in wobbly script, Dad told us why you left. Mom said awful things to you, and we understand why you started a new life. We miss you so much and are so proud of your bravery. When we're older, can we visit you in Switzerland? We love you. Attached were drawings of me smiling amid Swiss mountains. I sobbed for an hour, not from grief, but from the clarity that my choice to protect my dignity was right, even if it meant distance from those I cherished. I wrote back, "My dearest grandchildren, your letter is the greatest gift I've ever received. I love you always, and my door will be open when you're old enough to choose for yourselves. For now, know your grandma is thriving, surrounded by beauty and peace. Learn from this. Words can build or break, and love means mutual respect, not sacrifice." Today, 3 years after that shattering birthday, I sit on my Zurich balcony, gazing at the Alps, penning the final lines of my story. At 75, I'm richer than ever, $600,000 in assets, a best-selling book, global friendships, and a peace I thought I'd lost forever. Rebecca wanted me gone, and I granted her wish in the most spectacular way. She didn't just lose a mother who loved her fiercely, she lost the financial lifeline she'd exploited for decades. My disappearance was her gift. My new life, vibrant, free, unapologetic, was mine. Sometimes, to save yourself, you must lose everything you were, only to rise as the person you were always meant to be. So, what did you think of my story? Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below. I'd love to connect. If this moved you, consider a super thanks to keep these stories coming. Your support means the world. Check out 2 new life stories on the screen and explore more on the Beyond Life channel. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales of triumph and truth. With love and respect, until the next story.